Hi everyone, I'm Alana from Kids Read to Kids, and we are on Chapter 7 of Read All About It by Valerie Tripp. So let's get started. The Soup Kitchen. Sterling knew how to keep quiet. He did not spill the beans about the spilled paint, the fight, or the punishment. So when the day came for the trip to the soup kitchen, Kit and Sterling went off to school as if it were a normal morning. They did bring Kit's wagon with them, but the grown-ups were too busy to notice. After an early lunch at school, the rest of the class went to the pageant. Mr. Fisher helped Kit, Ruthie, and Sterling put the Thanksgiving basket into the wagon. It was heavy. Students had brought potatoes, beans, and apples. There were a few jars of preserves and 6 loaves of bread. Kit and Sterling brought a can of fruit, and Ruthie, whose family still had plenty of money, brought in a turkey that weighed 20 pounds. The soup kitchen is down on River Street, said Mr. Fisher. After you deliver the basket, you may go home. He paused. Happy Thanksgiving, he said. Then he hurried off so that he wouldn't miss the beginning of the pageant. Kit, Ruthie, and Sterling set out. When they turned the corner onto River Street, they saw a line outside the soup kitchen. It was 4 people across, and it stretched from the door of the soup kitchen all the way to the end of the block. The people stood shoulder to shoulder, hunched against the rain. The brims of their hats were pulled low over their faces, as if they were ashamed to be there and did not want to be recognized. "Oh my," said Ruthie quietly. Sterling said nothing, but he moved up to stand next to the girls. Kit prided herself on being brave, but even she was daunted by the dreary scene before her. She squared her shoulders. "Let's go around to the back door," she suggested. "That's probably the right place to make a delivery." Kit led the way down a small alley and around to the rear of the building. She knocked on the back door. No one answered. Kit lifted the basket out of the wagon. She took a deep breath, pushed the door open, and stepped inside. Sterling and Ruthie followed her. In the kitchen, people were rushing about with huge, steamy kettles of soup, trays of sandwiches, and pots of hot coffee. A swinging door separated the kitchen from the room where the food was served, and the groceries were given away. One lady saw Kit and the others and stopped short. She peered through the steam rising off the soup she carried and said, "Thank you for coming. You'll have to unpack the basket yourselves. Leave the turkey and the potatoes here in the kitchen. We'll use them to make tomorrow's soup. But bring the canned goods and the loaves of bread out front now. You can give them away." Kit, Ruthie, and Sterling did as they were told. After they unloaded the basket, they pushed through the swinging door from the kitchen to the front room, which was crowded with people. It smelled of soup and coffee. At round tables in the center of the room, people sat eating and drinking. Some talked quietly, but most people kept a polite silence, as if they did not want to call attention to themselves or make themselves known to anyone around them. Along one side of the room, there was a long table with people lined up in front of it. Kit could only see their backs as they stood patiently, holding bowls and spoons, waiting for soup to be served to them. Across the room, there was another long table where a lady was handing out groceries and loaves of bread for people to take home. Rather shyly, Kit, Ruthie, and Sterling went over with their food on the table and stood next to her. "Thanks," said the lady. "Please give the bread to the people as they pass by." Kit, Ruthie, and Sterling kept their eyes on the bread as they handed it out. It was kinder and more respectful not to look into the faces of the people, who seemed grateful but embarrassed to be accepting free food. Most of them kept their eyes down too. Kit felt very, very sorry for them as they took their bread, murmured their thanks, and moved away. All of these people have sad stories to tell, she thought. They weren't always hungry and hopeless like they are now. How humiliating this must be for them. The lady handing out the groceries seemed to know some of the people. "Well, hello," she said to one man. "You're here a little later than usual today." Kit handed the man his bread. "Thank you," he said. Kit looked up, bewildered. It was Dad. This chapter ends on a cliffhanger. Please go to the next video for Chapter 8. And once again, head to kidsreadtokids.com for the lesson plan to this book and for all of our other resources. Happy reading!